Hello there. Today we have a story called The Boon. The story is set near a satellite town of Mumbai called Vasai. It's about 50 kilometers north of Mumbai on the road to Ahmedabad. Shekhar Sadwal, Detective Inspector of Mumbai Police, is hot in pursuit of an SUV traveling towards Mumbai. Both of them traveling at a speed of above 100 kilometers per hour. As the traffic thickens towards the city, Shekhar knows that the car stands no chance against him. At Waliv, the man hesitates and suddenly veers off to the left towards the Tungareshwar National Forest and the Tungareshwar Temple, which is situated on a hill inside the National Forest. There is a dirt track leading from Waliv up to God knows where. It had been paved once upon a time, but now that paving is gone, it's deeply rutted. No place for a four-wheeler. Even a so-called four-wheel drive, such as an SUV. Soon they cross over the first ridge and go out of sight of the highway. After about a kilometer further, they come across a stream. Now these streams, they draw off the flood waters of the monsoon rains in the hills. During the summer season, it's absolutely dry. The ravine is about 2 meters deep. The SUV driver saw it a bit too late. The car tipped over, landed on its bonnet, turned over once again, and then rested right side up. Shekhar Sadwal rode up to the brink, dismounted, climbed down gingerly. The doors had sprung open. He leaned in, took the pulse of the man at the neck. He was dead. He checked in the glove compartment, the usual papers. There was a Webley .38 semi-automatic pistol wrapped in a towel. Between the driver's seat and the back seat there was a suitcase, but the loot was in the dicky. There were 5 big metal suitcases. Shekhar opened the clasp of one. It was full to the brim with currency notes. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. He skimmed off the top layer of the currency notes from each of these 5 boxes, wrapped them up in a trouser that he removed from the suitcase, made it up into a bundle, closed the boxes, shut the dicky, and ran along the riverbed till he reached a hollow. He didn't have a moment to lose. His detail was following him. They would be there any time. This hollow was where an eddy formed during the monsoon, and the bottom of the hollow was still wet. He dug with his hands as best as he could, buried the bundle, covered it up with the mud and the grass and scrubs that he could, covered it up with the leaves, got back to his motorcycle, washed off his hands with his water bottle as the Bolero drove up with his deputy and the SI. Next day, Shekhar got up very early in the morning. In fact, he could hardly sleep at all. He rode up to that spot. The wreck was still there. The body and the contents, of course, had been removed. He ran along the riverbed to the hollow. The sun was just breaking through. He found the hollow completely bare. The hole that he had dug was yawning open. There was nothing inside. He got back to the station. He knew it was his deputy and the SI. They were in cahoots. Now, it was a very delicate situation. People had been killed for less. He had to work out a scheme for sharing. But for that, he had to engage these two in a conversation. But no matter how hard he tried, he could not broach the subject with them. They showed no sign of knowledge or guilt at all. He tried very hard, God knows he did, but it was no go. Finally, he gave up. A couple of years passed. The bikers club, of which Shekhar was a member, had gone to the Tungareshwar National Forest for birding. On the way back, it was evening. They were traveling on a road which was newly paved. And they came on a small bridge across a stream. And immediately Shekhar knew that this was the spot. This was the spot where the car had wrecked. Near that bridge, a new temple had been built, about a couple of years old. And the village which must have stood there had now prospered. It had grown, surrounding the temple. They stopped for tea at a chai wala. And Shekhar, as was his habit, engaged the tea man in conversation. Tell me, when did this all come up? I'm sure it came up only recently. The chai wala, normally a garrulous chap, he said, well, Sahab, you see, there is a very interesting story behind this. The Patil of our village, the Patlin Bai, she had gone to the stream to relieve herself one evening. And suddenly, she had been met with a vision of Mata Bindeshwari Devi, who commanded her to build a temple for her and offer puja every Amavasya and feed all the poor people around. And to do all this, she gave her a huge boon. The temple was built, the pujas were held, but it did not go well for the Patlin Bai. The Patil took a young woman for his second wife, threw out the Patlin Bai. That is the way life is, you see. I hope you liked the story. Please share your comments with me so that I can improve myself. Pass the story on to your friends and subscribe to my channel if you can. Thank you for spending your time with me. Goodbye.